What is that?
Nothing at all.
Did you just bring a calathea in this house? What's wrong with you? No, it's just a regular plant here. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. You really like getting into those toxic relationships, huh? It's gonna be different this time. We understand each other a bit more. Look, don't come crying to me when that thing breaks your heart again. Look, leave me alone. I don't get involved in your relationship, okay? I'm just saying, have you ever considered that maybe it just doesn't like you? Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel. For those who's new, my name is Christian and I'm a plant, and in today's video we are continuing our monthly series from last year of me listing 5 favorite basic and common houseplants. But this episode is going to be slightly different, and that's because it is 5 houseplants that I regret killing. Yes, that's right. I kill houseplants just like you do. It's okay, don't be embarrassed. It's part of the journey and part of the experience. Especially when you're a new plant parent and just starting out your journey. These houseplants I actually owned during my first year as a crazy plant guy, and looking back at it, man, I miss these plants and I regret it, and I'm so stoked of trying to get them back this year because they actually are part of my 2021 wishlist plants. I'm not going for any of these like crazy anthuriums or alocasias. Right now, my focus is on these 5 houseplants, and I'm excited to share with you guys what they are. I'm gonna try and pull some old footages of what they looked like back then, why I fell in love with them, and share with you guys what I think happened and why they died on me, and what I would do differently this time around. Feel free to comment below and share which houseplants that you regret killing and that you would buy again. So without further ado, here's my list. I wanna start with I don't even have a plan to show you guys to do my tada, but here is a picture of my PILEA involucrata or PILEA involucrata, so also called the Moon Valley friendship plant. This particular PILEA is so unique and so cool looking. I've never seen or felt anything on any other plant before. The leaf has this like raised, rigid texture to it, and it has this like fine Venetian that's a little bit more flat on the leaf. And then it has a nice, beautiful color gradient from like burgundy, purple to then green. It's so cool and so unique. This is a picture I have on my Instagram. It's actually my 6th picture on my Instagram because that's when I got it. It was back in like early 2018 or maybe even late 2017. I found it at Walmart for $4. And I've never seen this plant since, so it's crazy for me to find this plant back then, and how I wish I had this plant today because it is such a beautiful and unique plant, and I know what happened to this plant. Obviously, I know a lot more today than back then, but this particular plant did require a bit more on the higher humidity side, and the potting mixture to be a little bit more on the heavier peat moss side because they need to retain that moisture and water. And what I did with this plant is I actually repotted this to a much more airy type of potting medium. In addition, I didn't have a humidifier. Didn't really understand how to control humidity levels at that time, or wasn't consistent with it. And obviously winter came, it died, and yeah, so I'm regretting this one because this is a freaking unique plant. And it's not a very popular plant in the community, and I think partly because they don't come around too often, but I can't believe I found it at Walmart for $4. So if any of you guys have this plant, comment below and let me know because I'm on the hunt for this one. So the next plant on my list is the lemon lime Maranta. You guys can see here, here's an old video of me getting this plant back in 2018. And first of all, I love prayer plants like the Maranta or the Marantaceae family, whether it's a red prayer plant, the lemon lime, or the rabbit's foot one. They're so beautiful and so cool, and it has that unique feature of the leaves folding up at night and then folding down during the day. I really love the color scheme on the lemon lime Maranta that you guys can see here. I love that nice light neon green in the middle and on the veins, and then it has that darker shade of green, and then the outer part of the leaf is more that lighter color again. So it's just a beautiful prayer plant. I like this more so than the red one, but it's a Maranta, and for those of you guys who are not familiar with Marantas, they do prefer a lot more of that, high humid environment, medium light, preferred a bit more of that distilled water to prevent the crispy and the browning, and a bit more of that peat moss base of soil to make sure it's consistently moist, rather more on the drier side. And back then, I wasn't consistently caring for this plant in terms of giving them the right growing condition, which are medium light, high humid environment, and keeping that soil consistently moist. So definitely something that I know I learned a lot from, and I can't wait to have this back in my collection because it's such a beautiful plant. So the next one on my list is the PEPEROMIA PIXIE lime. So PEPEROMIA, as you guys know, they are some of the most beautiful plants. There's over like 1,000 different types, but this is actually one of my favorite peperomias, and that's because I love the compact, small oval leaves that has this beautiful lemon lime color to it, has a bit of variegation, and then on top of that the leaf has this velvety or fuzzy feel to it, so it's so adorable and so cute. And man, I remember I found this plant I think at Home Depot, and again it was so cheap. I think it was maybe like $4 or $5. I've never seen a Peperomia Pixie since then, so I am actually regretting killing this plant because Peperomias typically are easy. But what I did with this one is, as a new plant parent, there's a point in the early stage where you get a bit overwhelmed with the amount of plants you have, because when we're starting out, we just want to go and get as many plants as we can. And even though we've done our research on how to care for them, there's just a point where you're overwhelmed on how to care for all of them and giving them all equal attention that they need, because not every single plant needs the same lighting condition or has the same watering schedule. Some, obviously don't need to be watered as often, while others do. Some prefer brighter light while others prefer low, and you just get overwhelmed. Unfortunately, this Peperonia Pixie Lime got caught up in that mess where I honestly was forgetting about it and I wasn't consistently caring for it. So sometimes I'll remember to water it when it's already super dry and it could have benefited from maybe watering like a few days earlier. Or sometimes I'll overwater to make up for lack of watering from the last time, and eventually it just died. So sometimes plants do not like inconsistent care, if that makes sense. Eventually, this plant just died from inconsistent care for it. So that's one thing to keep in mind when it comes to your houseplants. And even though some plants, don't need to be watered for another 3 weeks or 2 weeks, while others prefer, weekly watering, really depends on the plant. It's important to keep in mind that you have to be consistently caring for your plants. You cannot neglect them forever or for long periods of time, or overlove them, every day and whatnot. So just keep that in mind. But that is what happened to my Peperonia Pixie Lime. Now that I have more experience and deeper understanding of my plants, and also a system that kind of works for me in making sure that I do give attention to all my plants and no plant gets left behind. Unfortunately, it may still happen because I have a lot of plants. So sometimes, there's a plant hiding in the back that I completely forget about. So I just got to be able to kind of just stay on top of it and making sure that, when I do go through my rounds of walking around the place and checking on all the plants, that I don't forget to check that soil and touch the leaf and look for pests, just to make sure that I am staying on top of all the plants. But yeah, so that is my Peperonia Pixie Lime, and man, I can't wait to find this plant again. So the next plant on my list is actually one of my very first houseplants that was featured in one of my first houseplant video. It is the ta-da! The Alocasia Purple Sword. And you guys can see how full and beautiful this Alocasia is. I love the length and tallness of those leaves. The underleaf has this nice purple tone to it, hence the nickname Purple Sword. And it is such a beautiful Alocasia. I did actually own this for about a year and a half. Unfortunately, I wasn't as familiar with caring for alocasias back then that I do have today. And notwithstanding that this was my third alocasia, it didn't really last long for me, although I did keep it for at least one season. And I think what happened then is once we got into the winter season, this thing stayed here kind of a little bit further back from my window during the winter months. So it was getting a little bit more low to medium light during the winter months, because again, Toronto has a lot more cloudier and darker days during the winter. So I didn't have a grow light at that time. I wasn't giving it enough light. As a result, the new growth was very small and it was really struggling and not sure whether it wants to go dormant or just continue to try and grow. And I was persistent on trying not to make it go dormant. So I was caring for it as I normally did. I would water the soil when it was about 90% dry. And again, it was just lacking lighting during the winter months. So come spring, so the following spring, I ended up repotting it and I moved it and getting a lot more light, and it did produce a bit more leaves, but it wasn't the way it used to. And I think a result of that is because I potted in a bigger pot. I think I went from like a 6-inch to like maybe a 10-inch to try and get those bulbs and tubes to grow a little bit thicker, but I don't think the plant was ready at that time. So it died. And now that I have a lot more experience with alocasias, I got a few different types. I got a silver dragon, dragon scale, black velvet, a Frydek, and I know what they want now and I can tell what they need. I know if I have this plant again, it will thrive under my so I'm so excited to have this in my collection because it is a beauty, especially when you can get these leaves to be nice and tall and massive. And I've seen it in the wild, it is beautiful. So that is definitely on my wish list for this year. Now, the last plant I'm gonna share with you guys is a Calathea. I'm almost embarrassed to say it, but it is probably gonna be my 4th time trying this particular Calatheas, and I love Calatheas. Okay, first of all, for those of you guys who love beautiful foliages, you love Calatheas. We have a love and hate relationship with them because it is so hard to care for them, especially if you don't have the right growing condition for calatheas. For those of you guys who can make calatheas thrive and grow, I hate you. I'm just kidding. But seriously though, I am not ready to give up on calatheas. And the first calathea I want to get this year, I was debating if I wanted to go with an orbifolia or, ta-da, the ZEBRINA. You guys can see here, I got this plant again a couple years ago and it is so beautiful. First of all, I love the shape of the leaves and I like it to grow a little bit more taller, more so than the orbifolia where it can grow a lot wider. But the leaves is so cool looking. I love the two-tone green on it with that zebra pattern. And it has that velvety texture to it. And if you're one of those that loves beautiful foliages that has two tones or zebra patterns on it and velvety, this is a great option for you. And it is a calathea. Like we all know, these are tough. But now that I have my greenhouse and now that I'm more experienced and understand how to control humidity and know what certain plants are going through by just looking at them or feeling them, I feel like I can really care for a calathea this year. So I am not giving up on them. I know it's a toxic relationship, but like earlier, I actually like being in a toxic relationship. I'm just kidding. But I am one of those that never gives up on anything, and I am not ready to give up on calathea. So yes, this house is not a calathea-free zone. I still want to welcome beautiful calatheas in my home one day. And you know who's really good at taking care of calatheas? Those of you guys who live in like the UK or Europe, because I find that anyone who's out there, you guys have beautiful calatheas. Like your collection, I forget, I think Tropical Plant Addict, she's got a beautiful orbifolia, and I'm like, man, I hate you. I'm just kidding. But so there you guys have it. Those are the 5 common and basic houseplants that I regret killing and that I am willing to try again on them because I love plants and these plants make me happy. So comment below and let me know if you own any of these 5 plants or any plants that you have also killed and regret killing that you want to try again with. Other than that, hopefully you guys enjoy your week and we'll see you guys soon. Peace.